We're here this afternoon to kick off the Back to the Farm Bill rally. We're excited about this group because it's a comprehensive group of organizations that we put together this coalition. We're not just farm organizations, we're not just producer organizations, we're not just energy companies, we're not just the largest organization that feeds the hungry in this state. We're all one today. And we're one today for one main reason, to get a farm bill passed. We decided there was 5 things that we all could agree on for this farm bill. One is that there has to be a compromise to pass a farm bill. It's not my way or the highway, it's compromise. Another reason is for there can never be an extension of the 2008 Farm Bill. As much as we like the 2008 Farm Bill, an extension is not the answer. We're going backwards if that's what we do. And also, the Farm Bill needs to have a nutrition title. Folks, if we don't support those that eat our food and give them a solid, nutrition, affordable food source, we'll never be able to do this again, to continue to have a Farm Bill. And we also have to make sure that they don't repeal the permanent law. That's what keeps Congress making sure that they're doing the Farm Bill, and makes those that don't understand the Farm Bill study it so they know what it says. And also that the House appoint conferees as soon as possible. One of the biggest reasons that I see supporting this coalition was because not only do we want to make sure that our congressmen and other congressmen are doing their job to get a farm bill, but this shows that our Congresswoman, Kristi Noem, has the support of us when she goes into the Speaker's office and says, "You need to appoint me." This is a group that supports what I need to have in a farm bill, and I'm the person to do it. That's what this is about. This is not about selfishness. This is about coming together, creating what we need to have for a farm bill. The farm bill is vitally important to the economy of our nation, not to mention what it means to South Dakota. This farm bill will need to be passed by September 30th, or it expires. Now, there is time that they can come together if they come to agreement to get it done by the 1st of the year. That's true. But I heard Congressman Lucas say yesterday that they actually physically can get it done. It will take some long hours, but they can physically get it done before that time expires. We got like I said, a well-rounded group of coalition here, and a great group to speak here today. But the first person I want to introduce is our senior senator, Senator Johnson.
And thank you all for being here. It is incredible how this broad group of organizations, each with a different and sometimes competing priorities, can come together and advocate as one for passing a farm bill. It may feel hot out here today, but it's nothing compared to the heat that we're feeling in Washington to finish the farm bill. We have folks here representing commodity groups, wildlife organizations, chambers of commerce, food banks, conservation advocates, and many others. It just goes to show that the Farm Bill impacts all Americans, not just farmers and ranchers. You are here as South Dakotans looking beyond your individual interests and rallying for action. I'm also pleased that we have the administrator of USDA's Risk Management Agency here, Brandon Willis, and Department of Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack are huge advocates of rural America, and they understand the importance of passing a long-term farm bill. As a member of the Senate, I hear you loud and clear. I share your frustration about how slow this process has been. Earlier this summer, I joined with my colleagues from both sides of the aisle to pass a bipartisan farm bill, which had the support of 2/3 of the Senate. It supports millions of jobs across the country, provides a safety net to producers, through effective risk management and feed the hungry, all while reducing the national debt. Not everything in the bill was perfect. Not everyone up here supported each individual piece of the bill, myself included. But that's what compromise is all about. And that's what we have to do to develop a long-term farm bill. The Senate is ready to move forward. Our leadership has already selected members for the conference committee to work out our differences with the House bill. Unfortunately, the House, with its familiar unwillingness to compromise, has been dragging its feet and has refused to even send anyone to negotiate with the Senate about a final bill. The House needs to follow the Senate's lead, drop its partisanship, and act quickly. With her help, we can make them feel the heat. Let us move forward, let us work out our differences, and let's get a farm bill. Now I'll turn to Doug Sumke.
Very good, Tim. Super. Thank you, Tim. I'll tell you what, he is one committed individual, isn't he? Since I've been serving in this role as president of South Dakota Farmers Union, I have had the distinct pleasure to work not only with Tim, but his staff. That man has the most committed staff that I have ever met, I'm telling you. Some of them have been with him since he was in the House. And they're like a family, and that's what it is here in South Dakota, especially rural South Dakota. So thank you, Tim. Our next speaker is the administrator of the Federal Risk Management Agency, which operates and manages the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. Before his appointment to the RMA, Brandon Willis was a senior advisor to Secretary Tom Vilsack on Title I commodity programs, farm legislation, and disaster assistance. He has also worked for USDA's, and he has a staff member for Senator Max Baucus during the passage of the 2008 Farm Bill. Brandon comes from Utah, and I know a little bit about Utah. Wide open states, about like us, a little more rocky, a lot more sheep, and we have a little guy by the name of Arthur Douglas, who is the head of the FSA in that state now, who is a very good friend of mine because he used to be the president of South Dakota, or the Utah Farmers Union. And I can also tell you that he has the same backbone Brandon does that Douglas did, and a heart to go with it. He's a native of Utah, as I said, and he's a third-generation sheep ranch, and he manages his family's raspberry farm. I'm honored to introduce to you RMA's director, Mr. Brandon Willis.
It's an honor to be on the stage with Senator Johnson. Everybody in Washington, D.C. Appreciates the fact that he's a real champion for agriculture. When I worked in the Senate, I worked for another senator, and everybody knows how dedicated he is, so it's an honor to be here. I will say this, I've heard a few people complain about the hot weather. I'm not complaining. The last time I was in South Dakota was in 2008. I drove my car across, I think it's I-90, is that what it is there? We didn't drive the whole time. Turns out, we got a snowstorm. I spent 2 nights stuck in Kadoka with multiple roommates that I did not know in my hotel room because they piled us all in. So I don't care how hot it gets. My second trip to South Dakota is better. Thanks for the introduction, Doug. I also want to comment on the diverse group we have here, and I think that actually speaks a lot to why it's important to have a farm bill, because each of these individuals brings something different, and they bring something different from the farm bill. You know, we learn a lot from history. If you go back in time, in 1933, that was the first year we had a farm bill. At the time, individuals who lived in rural America and who lived on farms, their average income was half of that of their counterparts that lived in the city. If you lived in rural America, if you were in agriculture, your income was half. At the time, you had low prices. Farmers were leaving the farms because they couldn't make money. And Congress passed the very first Farm Bill in 1933. They actually made a simple Farm Bill. The issue of the day was prices were low, there was too much production, and people couldn't get credit. So they kind of established a floor for prices. They provided credit to farmers, and they provided incentives for people not to overproduce. Fast forward 5 years, you had the Dust Bowl. Congress wrote a new Farm Bill. They updated things. What they added was some conservation provisions because they had millions of tons of dirt. So every 5 years, we have the opportunity to update a Farm Bill that impacts every single person here. And hopefully, we can get that update for everybody. I think it would be good if agriculture is running off an iPhone, not a flip phone. Finally, I just want to say thanks to the farmers in the audience. You know, I come from a farm. My dad's still a sheep rancher. And the last few years have been pretty good in agriculture, by and large. A lot of people have done well. But what we often forget is how many people sacrificed to go back to the farm. How many people could have gone to the city, worked a 40-hour week, had benefits, and not worried every year about whether that next natural disaster was going to knock them off the farm. So to all the farmers out there, I just want to say thank you. I had an opportunity. I had a friend in D.C., and for those who haven't been there, the Department of Agriculture is right on the National Mall. It's a prime spot in D.C. You have the Capitol, Washington Monument, Lincoln Monument, and right in between all of those is the Department of Agriculture. And a friend of me asked where I worked, and I told him I worked at the Department of Agriculture, and he asked me the location, and I told him it was right on the National Mall. And his response surprised me. He said, I'm surprised we would put the Department of Agriculture in such a prime location. I would have thought we would have put somebody more important, something more important there. I think with all the benefits that agriculture provides for everybody in the United States, I just want you to know how appreciative I am of agriculture, and I think agriculture is pretty darn important. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today.
The corn growers are blessed to have someone like her to lead their group and to follow their board members. So with that, Lisa, what you say?
Thank you, and thank you, Senator, and thank you, Brandon, for coming out. As you can see, agriculture is South Dakota's #1 industry. It's over. You can add up the 5 other industries together, they don't equal what agriculture means to this state. So is it important we get a farm bill done? You bet it is. But let me tell you what happens if we don't, okay? It is the largest deficit reduction bipartisan bill in Congress. It saves between $23 and $40 billion. Every year we don't pass a bill, because compromise seems to be a 4-letter word in Washington, you take 20% off that baseline. 5 years, there's nothing left. There's no changes on direct payments in the Farm Bill. In other words, we spend another $5 billion out. When we're saying it's production agriculture, we don't need it. There's no changes to the SNAP program. It's a guaranteed program. But in the future, when we have the SRA up in crop insurance and other issues, obviously our federal government needs to make financial changes. It will come from this. So I don't understand why the largest deficit reduction bill that affects agriculture, South Dakota's #1 industry, is not passing Congress. And so I want to appreciate the time, appreciate Farmers Union putting this together, and collectively on this group, you have a Farm Credit Services, a very large banking organization with agriculture. You have Ducks Unlimited, you have a litany of groups that collectively we don't agree on everything, but we have to get a farm bill done, or we all lose. Every South Dakota loses. So appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate the opportunity. And I have my daughter out there, and I had the privilege of working for Senator Kressler, and I used to have to work the state fair with her, so I ran into him, and it's a unique opportunity, so thank you, Senator. And thank you, Senator Johnson also sits on AgriPros, and he has been a great champion as we fight. So appropriations is what actually gives money out. So we appreciate working with him and Josh, and appreciate all your time and your staff. Thanks, Senator.
You know, having groups like the energy industry in this as well shows the importance and the diversity of us as well, as like I said. So Tom Hitchcock.
Well, thanks, Doug, for having me. We'll see after I'm done if I'll get invited back next year. Anyway, I want to give a little background on the ethanol industry in South Dakota. As some of you know, it's a pretty good lifeline for a lot of our corn farmers who have a ready market for their corn, and we're quite proud as an ethanol group to be providing that market. There are 15 production facilities in the state. They produce 1 billion gallons of ethanol in a year. Now, to put that in perspective, that's more than twice the amount of gasoline that's sold in the state of South Dakota. So that's a lot of fuel. Okay. South Dakota ranks 7th nationally in the production of ethanol, and we're quite proud that we're one of the larger corn states. Like I said before, we're pretty supportive of corn farmers. South Dakota plants crush 360 million bushels of corn a year. That's a lot of corn, folks. And nearly 1/3 of that corn comes back as a high-quality, high-protein cattle and poultry feed. That's important. You hear the stories of the food versus fuel. We provide food back to the cattle that everyone enjoys eating. So we don't take all the corn. And then also, I know Lisa was talking about how important agriculture is to the state of South Dakota. The ethanol plants in this state, in a recent study that was completed in 2012, contribute $3.8 billion to our state economy. Now, that's a lot of money. I did some math on that, and it's nearly $5,000 per citizen in the state of South Dakota. So we're quite proud of what we've done as an industry and going forward. One of the big issues that we're dealing with back in Washington is the renewable fuel standard. As you can imagine, just a little background on the renewable fuel standard. That was put in place by Congress back in about 6-7 years ago, where basically the blenders of gasoline or gasoline companies had to blend certain amounts of ethanol in their fuel. Well, today we're at the point where we're blending right at 10% gasoline. Ethanol is in 95% of the gasoline that's consumed in this country. And I'm telling you, big oil does not like that now. We're not friends of big oil. They've wanted the renewable fuels standard repealed. I'm telling you, folks, that's a bad thing. What's happening out in the Mideast today, we can't keep relying on foreign oil. We got to make it right here in our country. It creates good jobs. Well over 400,000 jobs have been created in this country because of the ethanol industry. And those are jobs that aren't outsourced to other countries. So in the end here, I want to really say I support the Farm Bill and anything we can do to make sure that farmers are taken care of, because they're, 80% of our cost of the plant is corn. So we rely on the farmers to stay pretty viable. And the best thing that you all can do is every time you go to a pump to fill her up with gas, take those higher blends of ethanol if you can. That's good for rural America. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matt Gasson. I'm Executive Director of Feeding South Dakota. And Feeding South Dakota is the state's largest charitable hunger relief organization. We have 3 locations, warehouses where we distribute food from: Sioux Falls, Pierre, and Rapid City. And from those 3 locations, we're helping to provide food to over 100,000 South Dakotans who are struggling with the issue of hunger. We do that through a network of 350 partner organizations and nonprofits across the state that we help provide food to. who then take that food and use it to feed the people in their communities and people that utilize their programs as well. The work that we do is only possible because of the public-private partnerships that we have in this state of South Dakota. It's the individuals and businesses and corporations that choose to support us both, monetarily and with food donations. It's the public piece that really is what we're here about today, and that's that partnership that we have with USDA through the commodity programs and the food nutrition programs that happen and are available through the Farm Bill. It's those programs that help us supplement all that we need to be able to reach out to the hundreds, to the tens of thousands, of South Dakotans that are battling each day to put food on the table. We are so blessed to have been invited to be a part of this coalition because, as you look across the board, it's very diverse, but we might be the one little anomaly that really maybe doesn't fit when you look at the pieces of the puzzle. What is a hunger relief organization doing here? But it's that partnership, it's that relationship that we have with the farmers and ranchers in the state of South Dakota. The people that are working every day to feed not only the hungry people of South Dakota, but the people of the world. And we feel so fortunate, so blessed to be invited to be a part of this coalition, because we too believe that they know the importance of passing the Farm Bill, especially the nutrition title piece. The fact that this group, this very diverse coalition of supporters, makes passing the nutrition title one of their 5 priorities, speaks volumes about where their hearts are, not only in the work that they do every day, but in the people that they're trying to help support. And we feel very blessed that they include that as one of their top 5 priorities as we talk about the need for passing this Farm Bill. We believe that the Farm Bill should be a nonpartisan issue. That, like the Senator says, it's something that's going to require compromise to get it passed. But as we're doing that, it's our hope that we don't gut the nutrition program in an effort to save those millions and billions of dollars that our country desperately needs to do. We understand that everybody has to play their part, but we also want the representatives in Washington, D.C. to understand that we're dealing with a segment of the population, many of which cannot do anything about the situation they're in. When we look at over 50% of the recipients for SNAP program are probably children, and another 10 to 20% could be seniors. When we talk about a big segment of that population that are victims of circumstances that they have no control of, we can't do anything to get themselves out. So as we're looking at where we need to make those cuts, I think it's important that we remember those people that are victims of life situations and struggle to meet those things need. The one thing that I am very grateful for, not only for the farmers and ranchers, but in City of Washington, D.C., knowing that we have a champion like the Senator. Senator Johnson has always been a hunger advocate. He's been a hero for the hungry, and we're so appreciative of all that he's done to help with the advancement of the nutrition titles and all those components within it that are used to help reach out to feed hungry people. And USDA is an incredible partner, with the effort to feed hungry people as well. It's those access to commodities that they enable nonprofits like ourselves to have, so we can use them to feed hungry people. So at the end of the day, we again are just thankful to all of you who every day go out there and work hard to try to feed not only this state, this country, but the world. And we thank you for your efforts, and we thank you for the support that you help in providing us to do the work that we do. So thank you.
Mike Stevenson. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Farmers Union. Doug has a great group. Mike and Chris make this all run, and our coalition run. And I'm a little disappointed. He said he was going to announce us a cappella style, but I guess he chickened out. I don't know. But anyways, thank you all for being here. I'm honored to be a part of this coalition. I'm honored to be a part of the Pheasants Forever group, the 5,700 members that we have across the state and the 30 chapters that work hard for conservation to get land on the ground, keep habitat there, and keep a major part of our economy going throughout the state through pheasant hunting.
we are part of this unique coalition, and I'm honored to be a part of this. We understand that agriculture and conservation are critical in our state, especially in the economy. As a conservation society, we're seeing a reduced number of conservation reserve program acres, and I don't know if anyone's seen what has come out of the pheasant study or the brood counts, but we're seeing that as we have less acres coming, or more acres coming out, we're seeing less wildlife habitat available. So we understand, as Lisa says, that we need a farm bill and we need to get it done. And it's a truly unique coalition that we have, and we believe this is important and affects everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a hunter, a fisherman, a grower, a feeder, or an eater. Everyone is involved in this, and it's important that we don't have an extension, that we don't compromise, and we have a strong farm bill coalition. So, with that, I'm young enough where I wasn't able to see the Dust Bowl, but I don't want to see it. And I believe this coalition is going to get it done and work for a farm bill to make sure that we can make a difference. So, thank you very much.
It's vitally important for the future of South Dakota, and not only for you, but for everyone that eats. Again, enjoy today, enjoy the fair, and thank you all for being here.